everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. A lot of people think that Bitcoin probably end up breaking down to 80,000 here. Is that possible? Sure, it's possible if you just pull up the daily chart here with the 20, 50, and 100 daily moving average. You can see that right now is wedging between the flattening 20-day moving average as resistance and a rising 50 as support. You also have a rising 100 here. Where's the rising 100? It's going to be around 80,000, right? So a lot of people are really targeting that area as the target because it does seem that whenever we're having a little bit of exhaustive look over here on the daily, it just wants to kind of come back down and kind of backtest the 100 and tends to find support there, right? And the 50 just doesn't really seem to have cut it. Maybe it tried, but it just doesn't really seem to cut it a few times. And it just kept on happening over and over again during this bull market. Now, the question is, does it have to break down all the way down to 80,000? The answer is no. It doesn't have to. It could. It's Bitcoin. It can do whatever it wants, but it doesn't have to. Just looking at the lower time frame chart here, there is some hope in terms of that you might just end up having a reversal up because if you just look at the 4-hour chart here, there's a little bit of a change of character from this big parabolic downtrend. You've been having a higher high over here compared to here. You've been having a higher low here compared to here, and now you're forming a higher low here, right? So there are some thought that, hey, maybe we are slowly going to end up, going back up here. No guarantees. There's never really any kind of guarantee with these kinds of things. There's a little bit of leading indicator here with the wave trend oscillator on the 4 hours to kind of pointing down. But on the daily here, if I can pull it up, you can see there's a little bit of a trend change here from negative to positive. You have a little bit of two opposing forces here. One is you can see a lot of demand underneath down here around the 94,000, 93,000 zone. Big giant hammer bottom candle. And you also have a very much of a morning star look to it. Right now you have a little bit of an evening star up here, so it's kind of battling between two forces. It's stuck in a range, right? Well, when it's stuck in a range, it's hard to make the right determination in terms of what it could be doing. And right now, if you look at the 2 hour, it does look a little bit more of like a bear flag, doesn't it? But it's always a bear flag before it breaks back above. So it's hard to say whether or not this is definitely a bear flag and we're going to make another move lower, because again, look at the 2 hour chart. It's been forming higher highs and higher lows. So we'll see whether or not this area holds. We'll see whether or not the daily moving averages that we're showing you hold. Whether or not the 50 is going to be the hero here. It wasn't quite a while back, but we'll see whether or not it's going to be the hero here. It also seemed to have just kind of backtested the Sapichi cloud here on the daily. It is hitting back the Tenkan and Kijun resistance. It's been challenging that for quite some time, trying to reclaim that. You do have a little bit of like a more like a head and shoulder kind of pattern. Initially, it was a little bit more like an Adam and Eve. This is Adam, this is Eve, and now you have a little bit of a hard time breaking through this Adam and Eve. You have a little bit of a breakdown, forming a little bit of a higher low here within this 2 hour Sapichi cloud. So we'll see how it works out. It could very well break down. It could very well go to 80,000, but it doesn't have to. The reason why I think that it might not is because I think that IWM, which is more of a index for more speculative stuff, because it's the small caps, I really think the IWM is really finding some really decent support where it was breaking above the 0.786, and it's been just backtesting it. Right now we're kind of still underneath the 0.786. We have a hard time kind of breaking through, but I think it will in the month of January to break through and probably make some all-time high within January and February, because it basically just pushed up and down, and you have a big capitulation candle here for last week. And it looks like it wants to bounce from support. Let's see whether or not we're able to claim the 0.786 here as support here on the monthly. It looks like it will. If we are able to close the month of December above $223.84, I'd be a lot more, really a lot more confident that I think things are looking a lot better even for Bitcoin, even though it does look a little bit more exhausted here. Now, going to some of the charts that people are scared about, looking at MicroStrategy, this is a weekly can here. It just keeps on wanting to find support here, both at the 1.414 as well as the GAN arc over here, right? Like, I'm not really making this up. This GAN chart has been serving pretty well for me. It got rejected here. The 1.618 is finding support at 1.414, and it's basically backtest the arc. Right now, you got a little bit of a tweezer look to it. It doesn't look bad. It's at support. People are scared. People think that it has to come back and fill the gap here around the 280s. I don't always think that gaps have to fill, especially if more people are talking about the gap fill. I think it might end up escaping the gap fill here. I think it's entirely possible, especially since it's holding this arc here as pretty decent support here so far. Now, there's always a possibility of that doing that, but yeah, if that happens, then great. I just wouldn't necessarily count on that when things are at support, right? It can always break down, but I wouldn't just necessarily count on that. It could very well, potentially just bounce from support right there. Coinbase also has support at the arc support over here. There's really nothing that I'm getting scared here. Got a nice tweezer bottom kind of looking thing here. I'm not really scared about Coinbase. If anything, I'm still pretty excited about it. It's also finding support here at the 10 candle on the blue line here on the weekly Ichimoku. Looking pretty decent. Clean spark is falling underneath a lot of these kind of moving averages in Ichimoku here on the weekly, but it's still finding support here at the arc and maybe trying to find support here at the angle here as well. It can close the week underneath the angle. 45-degree angle is generally a pretty important area. It can close the week below, and that's okay. It has done that before, and it just kind of bounces from there, right? It has done that before, and it just kind of bounces from there, right? So we are kind of at a confluent zone of support here. Mara is also one chart that I'm not really that scared about either. The reason why that is because I think it's getting close to the arc down here, and I'll get it, touching the arc eventually. Yes, it can, but it's also finding support here at the bottom support band. It's basically kind of broken underneath, and it's basically reclaiming it as support. So that's when things are at support, I'm actually not scared of it at all. Bitfarms got really close to this this arc down here. It could potentially come back to like 1.5 range to touch the arc here. It does have a very nice tweezer bottom here, so I'm not going to count against it. It's also at the lower Bollinger Band. It's at the lower part of the range, right? It's been touching upper Bollinger Band, lower Bollinger Band, upper Bollinger Band, lower Bollinger Band. It's just at the lower part of the range. It could potentially go down and touch the arc, entirely possible. But I think we're getting closer and closer to the lower range, right? It's also seemed to be ranging between these two arcs over here, touching the top arc, lower arc. It's just been oscillating. It could touch the bottom over here, and it would be the bottom of this range, right? I think selling at the bottom of the range generally is not advisable if this is not financial advice, but generally is not advisable. Cypher looking pretty decent, going back to this angle over here, and you might be getting closer and closer. Yeah, it's touching the bar support band. This is also a very, very bullish look to Cypher. Had a hard time breaking about the 0.786. This is the demon they had to fight. Couldn't fight it, come back down, back test to the very, very important area here with the angle and with the bar support band. So it could go up a lot higher from here. Iron got closer to our support band, couldn't even touch it, and it's just been finding support here at the kitchen, and it looks like it's doing pretty well right here. Again, forming a little bit of a tweezer bottom here. Nothing to get scared about. Wolf basically bounced from this arc here, right? A lot of people were early in the week were saying, oh, it's breaking down support, They're all freaking out, but it turned out to be just a wick underneath. I was looking at the support band that's also rising very positively. A lot of people are freaking out, like, oh, breaking down. But it turns out to be more of like a wick, right? Not too worried about it. BTBT broke underneath the boring support band. It's kind of going back into the weekly Ichimoku cloud here. Maybe it's going to find support, maybe not. But maybe it goes all the way down to the bottom of the cloud over here around 2.88, right? But overall, it's just been forming higher highs and higher lows, right? It's just been forming higher highs and higher lows, right? So not much to really get worried about. Cores is also finding support here, going on support band almost to the T here, as well as backtesting this arc over here, right? Nothing scary here. Riot finding support here, going on support band, finding support here at 0.382 here. Actually looks pretty decent. It's just had a hard time breaking above this arc over here. It's been having a hard time for about a year and a half. We'll see whether or not 2025 would bring us some renewed energy for it to kind of break through here. HUD 8 is backtesting the arc over here. It broke down underneath the 0.618. That was the demon I had to fight. Couldn't really fight through it, and had to backtest the arc underneath. And so far as fighting support here down the arc, right? Hive, well, Hive is a little bit weird. It's kind of just oscillating sideways here, doing nothing, and it's kind of broken down a little bit underneath my arc over here. Although so far over the last few months, just been forming higher highs and higher lows, so I'm not that worried about it. BitDeer, what is it doing? Well, it's fighting its demon. It's trying to get through the 1.272 here. It's also trying to get through this arc over here. So far, it's looking like it really wants to push through. A lot of wicks up here above. We'll see whether or not the week end up closing about this arc here, about the 1.272 here. If so, then you're going to have some further bullish continuation. If not, then you might have to come back and back test some stuff underneath below. There's a lot of support level there, a lot lower. So, but it looks like a very, very impulsive bull trend. So if it ends up pushing through, higher we go, right? A lot of these stocks are just looking pretty decent right now in terms of where they are. So I'm not really that concerned. I just kind of want to share my thought here, especially when things are just kind of hanging out as support. So anyway, take what I say with a grain of salt. This is not financial advice. Obviously, a lot of people are very frustrated about miners. They just wish I never talk about it. I'm probably going to end up getting a lot of dislikes on these videos, but that's okay. I don't care. I just want to talk about them. That's it. Take care. Bye.